are on a special episode today of From Dirt We Grow. Well, every episode is special, but today is extra special. I'm your host, Stephanie Kendall, and I have Mr. Anthony DeRibas running for Congress, Congressional District 16 in Florida, correct? Hello, Mr. DeRibas, and welcome to the show.
Yes, that is all correct. Anthony DeRibas. I'm running for the congressional seat here, District 16 in Florida, Manatee, and a slice of Hillsborough County. Mostly, I'll do Manatee County.
Were you always into politics? What made you want to run for Congress?
That is I think that's one of the most common questions we receive. I took an interest when I turned 18, and leading up to that, I got involved with the Ross Perot movement and reform because even back then, I saw at that age, I saw a monopoly on other choices because I was surprised at that age. I'm like, oh, there must be thinking at that young age, and you're naive, and you're like, there must be tons of candidates to vote for. This is great, and then you walk in and you see two.
Hmm.
I got involved with the Reform Party, and I stayed involved with them. I ran as one of their candidates, and we came in third in a three-way race. And I stayed involved with them probably till I want to say 2016, either in some form as a town chair for that party. And they were huge back then. If anyone's old enough to remember, they had a bank account, they had conventions, and they continued even up, and they continue even up until this day. They continue to nominate a presidential candidate. After 2016, and the party was not obviously where it was once before, stepped back from politics and kind of did my own life. Met a girl, got married, but I've always lived a paycheck to paycheck, and that never changed for me. And that was another catalyst for kind of getting back in. Things haven't changed, and then when we look at the figures, we're looking at 60 to 80% of America. That still is the same.
Yeah.
People talk about the society's going to collapse. For them, it has collapsed. Society has collapsed for that swath of the population. When
Yeah.
21 million American people are living in their cars, society has collapsed for them. Fast forward to now, it looked like this race was going to go uncontested. And I did some research on the current incumbent who has been there 2 decades.
Hmm.
So I reached out to the Democratic side, and we decided that we were going to offer another alternative. And we got back in February. So yes, the answer to the question, yes, I've always been somewhat involved or interested in politics. Yes.
Most politicians are millionaires, and you're in the same struggle as like the 60% of us, and still you're stepping up and to run for Congress. That's why I brought Mr. Dribas on today, because this is the America like we see, but that politicians don't see. They see it, but they're never not part of it usually. So it's the America that's tired and broke and done waiting for these elites to make the real changes that America needs. So I feel like we need more real life people like Mr. Dribas here running for Congress.
We
So
need more of us.
yes,
Yes.
yes, you're not a millionaire. You're not backed by corporations or and all this stuff going on. You're living the same struggle as us.
There's such a huge disconnect between using our incumbent, and that's across the nation. And we see that I'm 58 now, so for 58 years, nothing has gotten better. Everything has gotten more expensive, more
Mhm.
inconvenient, and more difficult for people living paycheck to paycheck, or even if you're two, three paychecks ahead of time. Rents, for instance, rents, when you walk into a rental, they usually require 3 months up front just to turn the key and
Mhm.
get on the side. And again, going back at that's 60 to 80% of America, they're renters. I will never be able to buy a home if things continue. I
Mhm.
am already priced out of the rental market, and because I live and work on site, I get a rent subsidy, a huge discount, and that's how I'm able to afford a place, a roof over my head. And for so many working people that are working, this is their reality. And homelessness and shelter housing is a big issue with us as well. I've experienced homelessness myself. And when we've talked to about half a dozen other candidates that are running the same situation. They've been homeless themselves too. First time that we experienced homelessness was when I was working full time at the United States Postal Service. So get a better job doesn't really apply there. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps, it doesn't apply there. So we go into this apartment that's corporate owned at that time. This is going back maybe 20 years. And we fill out all the paperwork and we fill out a credit file. And because of our FICO score from I think I had a car repossessed. That was on my credit file, and even though there are laws in place now, currently, and back then as well, you can't deny someone a home based on their FICO score. That
Really?
that happened. They're not, and our parents never had to fill. You didn't never had. That's just something new since the '80s with the FICO scores, TransUnion, and Experian, and that
Mhm.
just is a huge exasperation for homelessness because people that have had bad situations or made bad choices, they are hammered on this and they're put out on the streets literally. And I was working at the post office this time, so clearly the income was there. Anyways, we were denied that rent for I think it was $545 for a two-bedroom back then. And
Wow.
so we ended up, while I was working full time at the Postal Service, living in a motel.
Wow.
And that is ridiculous for
Yeah.
America.
Yes, absolutely.
The second time, and I went back to my old employer, CVS, and as a pharmacy technician, and we tried to get an apartment in the Pensacola area. We went to go try to get an apartment. The same thing happened, and they said, "Well, you're going to need a co-signer for an apartment." I had my 401k from my postal service time there, and I said, "Well, I was willing to work with them." I said, well, "How about this? Because I understand my credit is not perfect." And I said, "What if I give you 6 months upfront of the rent?" And they still said no. And that is just insane. What we did then was we bought an RV, used, a new to us RV, and we lived in an RV park, which is awesome because I've always kind of wanted to do that. It was just forced upon us at that point. I've been doing that ever since, either mobile home or an RV.
I'm surprised they said no when you offered 6 months up front because that's what I have to pay. Actually, we pay a year up front. We've done that 3 times now.
To put that burden on working class people that so many, I was lucky that I had that. But again, that shouldn't be part of that's not part of the American dream.
Exactly,
That's
right, and
not what
neither
we're.
is 2, 3 jobs and not having any free time or, having a life. Do you feel politicians are intentionally disconnected, or is it just because they've never been there? How do you
They've never been there. Within speaking locally, I mean, our because I try to research and find out where, because I'm curious. I want to know where the other working class candidates are, and I just haven't found them here locally.
Yeah, but okay, so I gotta ask, I gotta know. I wanna know how you feel about it because you're in it. Do you actually think that people like you, like grassroots politicians, without, having to lose your values along the way or corrupted?
Can we win? Absolutely. I mean, when we first started it back in February 28th, we launched the campaign, and my wife is saying that, oh, I don't. She doesn't want to go to DC, travel back and forth. And I said to her back then, I said, you know what? The campaign's probably not going to go anywhere. I said, you don't have anything to worry about. I said, just let me do this. And she was very gracious. I always tease her to say, thank you for lending me out for, you
Mhm.
know, 2 hours. Thank
Letting
you
me
for
out to
letting.
play, yes.
Yes, loaning me out to the people. so,
Mm.
so we started getting these. The momentum started picking up across social media, which is a huge game changer from the first time I ran. And we started getting invitations because we haven't really solicited anyone to go on, but we started getting, invites like yourself here
Yeah.
to come and put our message out there. And we've done this maybe half a dozen times already, so almost like once a month we're getting something for an interview. We have another one scheduled up for later on this month, and we haven't really asked for any of that. And I think that's so amazing that our message is resonating with everyone, that they relate to these things. And then with the live appearances too that we've done, we were invited, and I'm trying to get a collaboration, and then we've been getting support also from other organizations. So
Mhm,
we have the backing, not so much financial because they're grassroots organizations as well, but just having their name behind us and their followers or contributors behind us, it lends huge credibility to what we're trying to do. So we do have the Liberty Network, the People's Party of America, the Pro Human Party, there's one called the Party Party, and then we have the Justice for All Grassroots Party as well, and then other candidates like William Hunt and Jesse Alberti. One of them is running for Congress, one's running for governor out in California. They're all with us as a
mhm.
collaboration that's being put together called the Unity Congress as an umbrella. And the thing that's missing there is the Democratic Party or any like Ro Khanna or Bernie Sanders, AOC. Where are you guys?
Yeah.
We're saying
Yeah.
the same message. We'd like, a statement of support or something, and it's crickets on that side. But we're hand is open and the door's open if they want to join and give these seats back to the people where they belong.
Well, that just tells me that they're not in it for us either. I mean, we have our views that are different than the other side, but that doesn't mean that the politicians themselves are still. That's what I meant. I didn't mean could you win. I believe you could win. I hope you win. And I'm not even in Florida or anything, but
Thank you.
yeah, no, seriously, like I said, we need more politicians that are actually advocating for the people and not these elites that have no idea.
None of these issues are new. These issues are as old as you
Forever.
and we've been talking about them forever. And if we don't
Mm.
win, if we are unsuccessful with these progressive candidates, I guarantee in 10 years we'll be still talking about immigration, still talking about body autonomy, still talking about the budget. Every single issue that's being brought up now, we'll still be talking about.
Yes, yes, because these have been issues for years. And I mean, okay, you can have a civil rights movement, but that doesn't mean that people's minds have changed about people. So it doesn't go anywhere. Throw a band-aid on anything you want to, but it doesn't change anything.
A lot of those, like the civil rights movement, it wasn't so much the parties; it was outside organizations that shifted the party, kind of forced it to adopt that. And I think that's where we are still today.
Yeah. It's amplified in this like current, like right now, right? In
Yes.
the last year, obviously.
Mhm.
Everything's kind of amplified as far as the differences and the division. Like it's one or the other right now. You can't there's no really middle. You're either left or right.
Yes, exactly. So what we're trying to do, well, going back onto collaborating, because I don't really care. We're running as no party affiliation. That was a choice that we made, stepping back from the toxicity of having a letter next to your name. We're pro people. We're pro human. Call that whatever you want. Socialism. I mean, whatever you want to call it. That's who we are. So we've reached out to our neighboring districts with a vision of working together, letting the voters see us appear together, protesting together, and giving our neighboring districts, we're in 16, so 14 and 15 as a block back to the people, which is a huge geographical area here in Florida. So we went to a protest with Juan Aruz, who's a Democrat, but we're about collaboration and working with other people. The boat that we're in, we're all rowing the same direction, regardless of what
Mhm.
letter is next to our name or if we have no letter next to our name. So we've been welcomed by Juan, who's running a primary in FL 14, and the Hillsborough Progressive Caucus, which had invited us to a one of their meetings, and we had the West Pasco Democratic Club give us a nice write up in their newsletter that they put out. So when it came to the official party, though, party with the official D next to their name, we were invited to speak at the official Hillsborough Democratic meeting, and the chair said no, they cannot allow anyone that does not have a D next to their name. This is not how she said it, but I'm paraphrasing. D next to their name. They can't speak at an official meeting. And he was adamantly against that. And he said to us in conversation he would fight for us and to speak there because, again, once again, and I said this to him too, and he agrees that, like I said, the boat that we're in, we're all rowing the same. We all got paddles and heading in the same direction. So it shouldn't really make a difference.
That is insane.
Every official party has bylaws, and we saw this back in February. We reached out to organizations for statements of support or endorsements, and we ran into bylaw law then, which they can change if they wanted to. But with the Green Party,
Mhm.
the Libertarian Party, you have to be registered members for them to support you. And I guess the Democratic Party is the same way, and that brings in a huge barrier because if you're we're not only we're
Yes.
not only a candidate, we are a voter as well. And if you're going to
Yeah.
exclude 40% of America across country that identify as independents or are not registered unaffiliated, is that your answer to winning seats?
Wow, right, right. And then everybody complains about, "Oh, 40% of America didn't vote." Well,
Mhm. One of another candidate, Erica Lee, over in Sacramento, California, kind of experienced the same way. Only the clubs and caucuses, which operate kind of separate from the official party, I don't know if they have bylaws or they're a little more flexible apparently because they were, like I said, they welcomed us and we spoke and got a write up from them. But
mm,
out there, she was saying it was the exact opposite. They didn't treat her nice, and I was talking with her
oh,
today, and I said, "I was so sorry." I said, "Out here, we were received pretty warmly by them." So I'm hesitant to I thank them privately, but as far as public
yeah.
thanking them, I don't want the official party to come back on them and say, "Hey, you did such a horrible thing. We're gonna, not allow you to play with us anymore because you got this no party affiliated candidate talking at your meeting." So I haven't, thanked them publicly, but
I guess there's politics in politics, huh?
It is, and it's, like I said, it's like that exclusivity, gatekeeping, old guard mentality, and I think, especially with the primaries, like I, mentioned earlier, the primary in Florida is not till August 18th. That's less than 90 days prior to the general election, and that was part of our reasoning for coming out now and campaigning early as a grassroots unknown with minimal financing and minimal, support, people-wise and financially, getting our message and our face and our spelling of our name, everything out now because it'll take that long to unseat 20-year, 10-term incumbent that's a multimillionaire. Coming out, waiting until fighting amongst yourselves, which is
Hmm.
what we see here in Florida. The three candidates, and they're all similar in similar situations. None of them are millionaires, other than the homeowners. Something they don't have cash on hand is what I'm saying. They're going to waste resources from now until August trying to decide who they want, so the voters don't even know who the candidate is going to be till,
Mm.
and then come out 90 days, less than 90 days prior to the election, and hope to God that's enough time to win to flip this seat when it's been unsuccessful for the past 10 years or 20 years, 10 terms. And we, it's a losing strategy.
Yeah, that's one of the problems that people have with politicians, honestly, is that we only see you, we only hear from you when it's coming up to election time.
What we see is, again, with the collaboration effort, we don't see them not having some kind of role. Jan, who's run the past 14 years, there's a role for her, but the voters are absolutely clear that it's not as the challenger because she's been unsuccessful the past 14 years. She would make an
Mm.
awesome policy advisor in our administration. Glenn is a communications is his background. There's a place for him. Clearly, they all want to go to DC. We got every congressional member gets at least $1.6 million to run offices and pay staff. We can all go. We can all go to DC as a team, not as separate individuals, and bring everybody's voices with us to DC. And that's what I would like to do. And I hope to talk to them when we meet up. Maybe I don't know if they'll both be there. I want to get them both together. Wednesday we have another candidate live appearance and with several candidates, and I think both of them will be there. So I want to at least offer this as a way to win this seat back.
Oh, it's got to be exciting to just have these opportunities. Do you think that it would be beneficial? Would it work for America to defund politics?
Yep, and we another thing that we've seen is I think there's three candidates that are doing zero donation, and they're not asking for money. They want to they've removed money from politics themselves and just going with voters and message. We're strongly considering following that lead, and what we've said in conversation with candidates and voters is that we really don't need money. What we need are votes. We votes, people, and messaging can come in lieu of cash. What we need are votes. The biggest protest, November 3rd, 2026. We need you to show up and cast your vote. That can outweigh any kind of cash that we would have on hand spending.
Hey, Florida.
We need
Are you listening?
so we're looking at not raising any cash.
I think that's the best way to go, honestly, because it just cash is the root of all evil.
I think yeah,
Media or and cash,
yeah, yeah, cash
greed,
and lies.
greed and corruption, greed and corruption.
That sounds like a good political movie. Media, cash, and lies.
I know, right? Let's do it. And we don't have to raise cash to do it. We'll just do it all grassroots. It'll be amazing.
Yes, exactly.
What policies keep the 60%, 70% of us trapped in the cycle that you're living? What would be the first thing you change? What is the this is like 80 questions at once. What is the most broken part of the whole system?
I think the broken part is that corporations and lobbies now govern us. There really aren't, we don't have 535 congressional members. What we have are 535 lobby members, say maybe two or three, maybe. So we are ruled by corporations. And I think there was a movie made like this called 1984, no, or Idiocracy. Or something
Right.
like. We are living in that now. we
We'll do the remake.
we'll do point 2.0. Bring back, and again, these are again policies. We did them before; they were successful. Bringing back Roosevelt's taxation plan, and because the corporations they have absolutely stood firm. They are clear. They are not going to pay any livable wage. That has to be legislated at this time, whether it's temporary or permanent. That's kind of like as we go. We need to tax them at a higher rate because right now what it is the revenue coming into the IRS is a 60-40 split. And guess who's paying the 60%? The individuals. And the 40% is by corporations. That needs immediately to be reversed, giving everybody an immediate 20% tax break on their income tax. There, what we do is not only the corporations, but anyone making the $60,000 and above, which is currently at, I believe, 39%, bring that up to at
Mm,
least starting at 50 and increase it from there. And they're not going to. People say, I love that argument of the corporations are going to leave and go where? They are here in America because of this. Every other nation
yeah.
will not be as friendly to them. Where are they going to go? Mars? There's no place for them to go. They will have to stay here and they will have to be accountable and they will have to be responsible like they should have done on their own. But they haven't and they've refused to do so and will continue to refuse to do so. And Congress is just rolling over like a pup, enjoying the belly rub from the corporations. Because we can talk about immigration. Of course, we have something for that as well. But the cashier at Menards or the dishwasher at in any restaurant, they really don't care about
Mhm,
immigration. They care about their paycheck and how much they see in it, how much they have taken out, and that's who we want to take care
mhm,
of right now because those people have been waiting 58 years at least. They've been ignored and they've been abandoned by both parties, and we're tired of
mhm,
seeing party over people. And that is kind of what we're
mhm.
seeing now with the situation with the Democratic Party. Apparently, the letter next to your name is more important than policy.
Maybe this insanity right now
Hmm.
is the catalyst to change, and I hope it is. I really hope it is.
Our hope is that with these primary candidates that are, if should they be unsuccessful in their primary, one has already told me that he will back the candidate, whoever it is, but we would love to see them continue to run, stand on your principles. You got into this race for a reason. It wasn't because of the letter next to your name. It was for, I hope it was for the genuine concern for the people that you want to represent. And if that's the case, why stop? Continue on. You'll have support. You'll have some kind of support.
What are they scared of? What is everybody? Is it what?
Exactly. We walk around. We will walk around every day and ask why, and just certain things hundreds of times a day. Why is this happening? Why are they doing that? Why are they? What are you
Yeah.
afraid of? We had the same conversation, and I found it from February to now. We pretty much exhausted, and we've told everyone where we stand. So the conversations that we have are like repeat conversations that were happening over and over, and which is the same issues that people care about. So with the Democratic Party, we will work with them, and the bickering back and forth that we're seeing nationally on television, where one side doesn't like the other, and they're pointing fingers, and kind of prove point that we need a third, a fourth, a fifth, someone other entity in there, whether it's unaffiliated or another political party in there.
Something's got to give. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here. We're going to have, there's so much more for us to discuss, but you are what we need. And we will talk again, I'm sure, in the future. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your efforts. And thank you for being here.
No, thank you. I'm glad we're, like I said, we're always happy we're more than happy to talk to people and get our message out there and tell everyone that what's on our mind.
DeRibas for Congress. Everybody, check it out, like it, vote, get out there. All of his info will be in the episode description box as always. And thank you so much for being here as always. And be sure to join us next week. Share the episode. Bye bye.